Hey everybody, welcome to Workforce Gaming. I am Brad along with Doug.
Hi.
So, just within the past week or two, Square Enix put out a huge announcement that they are now partnering with Marvel Studios for the foreseeable future
Yeah.
on a whole bunch of stuff, which kind of comes off last year's announcement, or maybe it was even a year and a half or 2 years ago, that EA is partnering with Star Wars and
Mhm.
Insomniac is working on Spider-Man. So,
And Disney
all
shut down all their studios.
yeah, all of a sudden you have Disney specifically, but a couple other people here too, which we'll talk about,
Yeah.
are going to big name studios
Yep.
to make their licensed game, which is something that is pretty new because really the only one prior to kind of this push in the last couple of years that I can think of was Knights of the Old Republic by BioWare. That's one of the
And
few that I
and
can
the
think of.
Asylum series, of course. Arkham.
But now, see, and that one's weird because I put that on my list because I have a giant list of these that I want to kind of talk about, and I
Yeah.
put that one on there. But Rocksteady really didn't do anything before that.
True. True. True.
They're a
They were not big
huge,
before they were doing Arkham. Yeah.
huge studio now, but back before Arkham, I don't even know if they existed before Arkham.
They
Like,
did. They did some like you played as a Riot Police game. It was not very good. Don't worry about it.
so yeah, so they essentially came from this environment, and they I
Yeah.
feel
Yeah.
like almost. I almost feel like Rocksteady is the studio you can point to and go, that's the reason why this is happening, because
Yeah.
they were the proof of concept that you can take a game or a property like Batman or a property like the Avengers or a property like Star Wars, and you can make a fantastic game from it.
Yeah.
So I'm just kind of curious. I want to kind of talk about what your thoughts are on this. So I got a whole list here, and we'll
Mhm.
kind of go through them. So we'll start with the Square deal that just happened.
Yeah.
So
This is the one. This is the one I think this is the more important one.
yeah, so what was initially announced is that Crystal Dynamics is working on an Avengers game. So Crystal Dynamics is essentially a known studio at this point because they did the reboot of the Tomb Raider franchise.
Yeah, they did a lot of the they actually did most of the not before the reboot they did like that other reboot of like PS3 360 gen those Tomb Raiders.
Those were a reboot.
Yeah. I mean before like the Tomb Raider reboot there was another reboot.
Oh, that would show you
That
my knowledge of Tomb Raider.
oh yeah no I this is no they're pretty and they also did the Soul Reaver series.
Okay, so
Yeah.
again, so they've done some stuff before that, but then the other big one is, and this is rumored. I don't think this has been officially confirmed.
This is confirmed that I at least that they are working on something, not what they're working on.
Okay, so they're working on something. Eidos Montreal. The
Mhm.
rumor is Guardians of the Galaxy, but we know it's something Marvel related.
Yeah, and those are then that's the Deus Ex devs.
Yeah. So these are a couple of studios who have done a lot of work on their respective franchises that are
Yeah.
essentially their own, kind of going, okay, we're going to lay off those, whether that's directed from Square or not,
Yeah.
and go, we're going to take on this Marvel thing. And we don't know if there's other Square studios that are involved. I'm assuming, the Final Fantasy people are safe in their Final Fantasy corner,
Oh yeah,
but
I don't think the Japan side is doing anything.
yeah. So what do you think about this? Like, what are your initial thoughts on this? Like when this announcement comes out?
My initial thought, my thoughts on this have definitely changed as I thought about it more and more. I think forever, especially when Arkham Asylum came out, it's like holy shit, superhero. See, like you're saying, superhero games can be good, and I think there was a thought for a long time that like, man, I just wish we had that Iron Man game. I just wish we had that Hulk. Well, we actually did have a Hulk game, but
Well, and there was an Iron Man game too, but they were prior to this. It's shovelware. It's
the Hulk
what
one was pretty good. Ultimate Destruction was okay.
I've never played that one, but like before this, there's a Green Lantern movie coming out. Let's get a Green Lantern game out. There's a
Yeah,
Spider-Man movie coming out. Let's get a Spider-Man game out. Where this is just going, you know what? Games are their own thing. Take your time. Make this good.
and my thought was like that like I would love that, but now that I'm thinking about it, it's like I would rather that the shovelware games keep coming out if it meant that we got original IPs from these developers.
And
Like
that's what and that's my thought as well, because I'm looking at Crystal Dynamics, I'm looking at Eidos Montreal. If you get into Star Wars, it's Visceral, it's Respawn. You've got
yeah,
Platinum Games doing this, Insomniac's doing this. All of these studios that have made games that I really, really like on their own IPs, are now
yeah,
pushing that off to do these licensed games. Which, yeah, I mean, it seems like an awesome idea, and in my mind, I'm going, this is so cool. Like, there's going to be an Avengers game by a really good studio. There's
yeah.
going to be a Guardians game. There's these awesome studios working on Star Wars. But like you're saying, at the same time, like, I don't know about this.
Yeah, I'm like genuinely disappointed because I honestly I feel like more now than ever I feel like I'm just constantly being inundated with Disney shit like all
Yes.
the time. Like it's on like on Netflix, it's on like advertisements and everything, and the fact that they bought Marvel. I mean, hell, even the Avatar movies are now being like their Avatar Land's like now going to be a Disney thing. It's
Yeah.
like all of these. It feels like the entire AAA space, which for I would say in recent years has had much more unique ideas than it's had in a long time.
Hmm.
Except maybe the beginning of PS3 360 gen, that was really interesting.
Yeah.
But I think that we were starting to see like this flourish of ideas like Far Cry Primal. While I don't like the Far Cry series, like that was an interesting idea for that series, like to set
Hmm.
it take a very popular shooter franchise to set it like in whatever 1000 BC, and I could see games were starting to go into this unknown territory, and this just seems like it was like a safe bet that's just sucking up all of this like talent that could be used for something else. And even like now Marvel movies, like I don't care about Marvel movies anymore. I mean like
I love Marvel movies.
I know I understand that, but like when I go to a theater, it's like it's like every Marvel I honestly like they just started like mush together because it's like the Marvel movies are very Marvel movie like, and I would hate for
Yeah.
that sort of uh genericness to like filter over into games because I think games can do some very unique things. Like I like there is no freaking series that there's no like Avengers or Marvel character I would give up Deus Ex for. Like Deus Ex, even though like I'm playing the newest one, I'm not a huge fan of it, but like there's a lot of cool ideas in that are just going to be wasted on an Avengers game or something like that. Or like even Tomb Raider series, I don't like that, but I think like a Tomb Raider series with like a cool female lead and like an interesting open world setting is more interesting than just another whatever Iron Man game or something like
Yeah.
that. Like so yeah, to me it's like forever it's like, oh, I wish these games were shovelware, but now that they're not, I'm like, shit. Like, well, there goes all the talent. Like
Well,
that's
yeah,
like
and
there's
I'm thinking
no more Sunset Overdrive 2. I mean, I thought it was gonna happen
exactly.
anyway, but
Exactly. And I'm thinking specifically like Visceral Studios who did Dead Space and Amy Hennig who helped create Uncharted. Like
yeah,
this person created one of the biggest game franchises around at this point,
mm-hmm.
and now it's like that creative talent is going to make a Star Wars game. I'm sure
yeah,
that Star Wars game will be great, and I'm sure I'll play the hell out of it because I love Star Wars.
yeah,
But it's like, what could somebody like that do at a studio like Visceral? What could those two mash Uncharted and Dead Space essentially, or where those two are coming from? You
yeah,
mash that all together. What crazy thing could have happened there? And in my mind, like I can't even fathom what that could be. But it's
yeah,
Star Wars,
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah,
and Respawn, who just made Titanfall 2, which was a fantastic game that had a lot of cool ideas in it, played
yeah.
around with a lot of different things, made some unique tweaks to the way first person shooters played in terms of speed and adding the mech aspect in there, and now they're just working on third person Star Wars.
Yeah, and then what was the other one? Jade Raymond, who like started fucking Assassin's Creed, which
Yeah.
was a cool idea to be okay. Like now people see it's like this milk franchise sort of thing, but like in it, like Assassin's Creed 1 and 2, like that
Oh,
was
10, yeah,
a
10 years ago.
revolutionary. Yeah, that was like a revolutionary franchise, and now it's like oh, she's making a Star Wars game, and like the thing is like to me, there's like plenty of good Star Wars games, and there's so much goddamn Marvel shit that you can get into. It doesn't have to be games. Like there's so much Marvel stuff available that like you don't need a Marvel game. Like there's so many other ways you can sort of like absorb that IP that you
Hmm.
like to me like a game like yeah, I guess it's just kind of like missing it, but it's like I mean I got my fill with Arkham Knight. Like there's no Marvel series I want to see as involved like get deep in that universe as I did with like instead sorry, how do I explain this? To me, the Batman universe was the most unique comic book universe you could get into, unless you start getting the weirder comics like Sandman or Hellraiser or something like that.
Yeah.
Like to me, like a different New York City is not exciting.
Yeah. And I think you're making a good point here. And this
Yeah,
is this is where I think I'm standing on this. I love the idea of AAA developers making these games. And Rocksteady's the proof of concept with that. But now
yeah,
Rocksteady did not pump out those Batman games. It
no,
feels like they
yeah,
did because you had Arkham Origins kind of thrown in there, but those games were a few years apart every time.
yeah, yeah,
It wasn't like it was what this is going to end up being, where Crystal Dynamics Avengers game comes out in 2018, or well, probably Spider-Man first. So Spider-Man comes out from Insomniac, then Crystal Dynamics does their Avengers game, then
yeah,
Eidos does their Guardians of the Galaxy game. In there, you've got Telltale doing a Guardians of the Galaxy game. These games are going to be coming at us like crazy.
yeah,
Star Wars, there's going to be at least a Star Wars game, if not multiple Star Wars games, every year for the foreseeable future now, coming from
yeah,
these big name studios. Now, if you told me right now, Square's deal, as of right now, it's Crystal Dynamics making an Avengers game. The rest, comes later. I'm
Yeah,
gonna go,
yeah,
that's really cool. If that
yeah,
works, then we'll put somebody else on it. We'll kind of shuffle it through our studios. If you told me Star Wars, year one, you're getting Battlefront. 2 years down the line, you're getting whatever Visceral's working on. Then maybe
yeah,
2 years down the line, you're getting whatever Respawn's working on. That I would be excited about, because that to me is going, you know what? We're holding off on this. We're holding back. We're not just throwing out games to see what sticks, which is
yeah.
kind of what Rocksteady did with Batman. It's Arkham Asylum. Okay, that went well. A couple of years later, we get Arkham City.
Hmm.
Warner Brothers got overexcited and threw Origins in there. A year or two later, and then about a year later, we get Arkham Knight.
Yeah.
And I think if they took that approach, I love the idea of some of these developers making games if it's something they're into. But at this point, it almost just seems like Disney in particular, because almost all of these that we've mentioned have been Disney properties.
Yeah.
It essentially just feels like Disney shoving them, going, Square, you're going to make this, and I need 6 of them from you by 2020. And,
Yeah.
you know, you're making Star Wars games, I need 2 Star Wars games a year for the next 4 years. And it just seems like it's Disney shoving this stuff onto us versus just going,
Yeah.
you know what? Square, you've got 10 studios. Which one would be interested in the Avengers? Have them make it.
And for whatever reason, like, I could be totally wrong about this, but I can see somebody being passionate about Batman. I can see somebody being very passionate about Spider-Man. I cannot see somebody being super passionate about Guardians of the Galaxy or the Avengers. Like, I could be totally wrong on that, but like, I don't see that. I don't see those as like these like sort of like passion projects. Like, I mean, like, seriously, like a good Spider-Man video game, like, that seems like something that people have talked about for a very, very long time.
Yes.
A good Batman game was something that I felt has been talked about for a long time. Like, I mean, maybe there's that talk because I'm just not a part of it. Like, that like need for a good Avengers game. It's like, who cares? Like, a good Guardians of the Galaxy is like, okay, I guess. I mean, but to me, like I just don't. And like I'm sure there's a few fans of Guardians of the Galaxy who's like been around since Guardians of the Galaxy, but that's like a relatively new franchise. I don't know. Like, the more and more I think about it, it's just like I would like, just from those studios, I would just rather them coming up with like literally anything else. Although I'm also wondering if this is just a safe bet, because I think that maybe a lot of studios aren't doing so well these days.
And that's a good point that you just brought up there, because specifically with those Square studios, Deus Ex, I don't know the numbers on it, but I know sold really, really poorly in comparison to the last one. Tomb Raider, again, I think the Microsoft deal hurt them a little bit, and I don't think they saw as strong of sales from that. So I think
God only knows what Insomniac does. I have no idea.
Oh, I'm sure Song of the Deep killed.
Yeah, and they make like a million Oculus games too. I don't know the hell. I don't have no idea how Insomniac works at all.
But I think that's a good point of going, these publishers now going, okay, you know what? We have these good studios. We know they make good games.
Yeah.
These aren't, their original ideas aren't selling. So you know what? Almost throwing it back at us and going, you know what? You guys didn't buy the new Deus Ex. So we need money. So here you go. You get Guardians of the Galaxy. And I think me and you, I don't know if it was even on here or not, but we've talked in the past about Platinum essentially using Transformers, using Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles as a way to make some money to fund Bayonetta 2 or whatever else they might happen to be working on. And it almost, bringing it up that way, feels like that, like Square going, you guys lost us money on your last couple of projects, now you get this, then you can go back to your fun little corner where you make your games.
I would not be surprised if there was a Platinum announced Disney game coming out, because the Scalebound deal killed a lot of, like, you know, that, because Scalebound got canceled, which was huge, so disappointing for a number of reasons. But yeah, so I mean, like, I would almost be happier if I heard Platinum was getting these deals, or like smaller studios were getting these like good smaller studios. I think it'd be good for these deals, but like just these big ones where it's like, I don't know. Like, one of the things I'm like really worried about is like, shit, I hope IO Interactive, who do Hitman, aren't making a Marvel game. Like, that would be so disappointing. I don't know. I just feel like we're heading towards, like, if you have like your opinion, I don't think this is totally true, but I think there's a general opinion of some people feel that like AAA is mediocre. It's like, you think it's mediocre now, wait till it's just Disney properties.
And I don't think AAA is mediocre. I think AAA got stuck in kind of a rut here, but I think we're slowly working our way out of it. And I think it's just the ups and downs of that, where you get caught in a trend, and then because game development takes so long that, you know, you start working on that trend, and then all of a sudden, oh, this isn't cool anymore, and now you're in the bottom swing, and then, okay, we need to adjust, and then you come back up of it.
Actually, I do want to talk about that real quick. Like, I do think the Avengers is going to be this popular 5 years from now when this game comes out. Like, Infinity War I don't know when Infinity War comes out, but like,
Infinity War comes out at the end of next year. So end of 2018 is like that, and then I believe 2019 is when, like, it used to be the second part of it, but now it's its own separate thing. I think 2019 is when that comes out. So if you figure Crystal Dynamics wraps,
I feel like, sorry.
But if you figure Crystal Dynamics wrapped Tomb Raider end of 2015, right, is when that game first came out on Xbox. I mean, they've already
Yeah.
had a year and a half essentially. Obviously, we don't know when this deal went down or when Crystal
Yeah.
Dynamics took over. So, I mean, they could be a year in on this already, which you figure maybe another 2.5. So that could put it in 2019, right around, 2018 is probably well not in shot, but 2019 easily could be.
Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like I personally feel like I mean I used to be super excited for every Marvel movie that's come out, and I feel like I'm just done with it. And I don't know if more and more people are just going to be done with it 3, 4 years out from now. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
and I think that's the thing is this almost feels like going, okay, you know what, we're losing some interest on movies. What's the way we can bring new people in,
That's true
keep the
too. Yeah.
Marvel money coming? Is going, okay, cinematic universe is slowly tapering off. I mean, obviously, I don't. That's going to be around for the next 10 years in some form or
Yeah.
another, making hundreds of millions of dollars. But going, okay, we're starting to see that taper effect. I mean, I will tell you, I'm still there every single Thursday night when those movies comes out at 7 o'clock.
Yeah.
Buying my ticket a month early because I love them. But I know there's more and more people like you who are going, okay, yep, this is the same thing you've been doing since Iron Man. Great.
Yeah.
Yep. This happens, and then this happens, and then this happens, and the villain's boring. Great. But
Yeah. Yeah.
and as they're seeing that taper off, going, okay, how do we kickstart these again and go, okay, well now what if we do big name games? So we've got our movies, we've got these games.
Yeah.
It's getting people back into these characters that they might slowly be losing interest in just because of the fact that this is a yearly thing or at this point tri-yearly
Yeah.
thing or whatever.
I mean, I guess they give them a lot of creative freedom. They could maybe do something. I just like just the Marvel Cinematic Universe to me. I find it so just boring at this point. So maybe I mean maybe if they let them go crazy, like the new Spider-Man game does look kind of cool. I feel like Spider-Man as a franchise and Batman as a franchise is much more bulletproof than Avengers
Yeah,
or
but I think that's because if you think
Guardians of the
about it,
Galaxy.
like
Yeah.
if you think about it, Batman has been a much more predominant figure in pop culture, going back to the
Oh
90s
yeah,
with like the Tim Burton Batman movies. And there's been
yeah,
Batman movies constantly going since then. And Spider-Man started in the early 2000s with those
yeah,
movies coming out where those are much bigger things than what you get from like, there's been Avengers animated series for a while and there were Batman animated series for a while, but
yeah,
you've had that stay in pop culture now for so long that the Joker's had what now 4 different actors on screen at this point. I think four,
yeah, yeah.
3.
Maybe even 5 at this point if you're on Gotham. I don't know. There's a lot.
Yeah, there's so many, but like it's such a bigger figure in popular culture that I think that's where you're getting that from. But I think there is still that passionate group for these
Yeah.
that have been around for forever. It's just they haven't been in the mainstream up until Marvel finally figured out what it's doing with these outside of comic
True.
books 10 years
Yeah.
ago.
True.
So
True.
I don't know. I'm very curious to see what it goes. I mean, none of these I'm looking at going, this is going to be a bad game. It's just in my mind, it's at what point do I get sick of this? At what point does this turn into Assassin's Creed?
Yeah.
That's
Oh
my issue
yeah.
with this.
Yeah.
Is Ubisoft went smart and went, okay, people are just, we need to pump the brakes on Assassin's Creed for a year or two, and we need to reshuffle this and get people back engaged with it.
Yeah.
How quick is that going to happen with this when you're getting, I mean, just Marvel alone on my
Yeah.
list of Marvel games coming up? You've got the Avengers Project, Guardians, you've got Spider-Man, you've got Marvel vs. Capcom, you've got Telltale doing a Guardians game. All of those probably within the next 4 years. That's five or six.
Yeah,
games.
and you're not even talking about Star Wars stuff. Like, yeah,
Exactly.
on top of all that stuff, it's like, yeah, it's even the Star Wars games to me is almost even worse because I feel like Battlefront is so close to being like a movie perfect game that like I don't think there's much more to say with Star Wars because like we play the Star Wars VR, like you're in an X-wing, like I mean, yeah, you can make a whole game on that, but after that, like you're done. Like you've made that Star Wars fantasy. Like we're close to that. Like it doesn't need 6 more games to fulfill that.
Yeah, and I think that's both of us just wanting to not get to the point where, in my mind, my biggest fear is I love these properties. I love Marvel movies. I've been
Yeah.
the biggest Star Wars fan since I was in like first grade. I mean, I'm upstairs reading the Rogue One book right now. Like, I know, but that's like, but my fear is like, and I almost feel this with the movies at this point too, is at what point are you just going to pound this thing I love so hard into the ground that I don't
Yeah.
care anymore? At what point am I not going to be excited about a Star Wars game? And that's really my fear with this is I don't
Yeah.
want to go, okay, here's another Star Wars game like we had in the mid 2000s where it
Yeah,
was
oh,
just,
yeah, yeah.
there are 3 a year. One of
Yeah.
them's good. And by good, I mean above average.
Yeah. I mean,
But
KOTOR is probably yeah. I mean, there's a few peppered in there, but yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's I don't know, but again, you have a lot of really creative people, and if they give them a lot of freedom with the IPs, they could do some really cool stuff. So
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm interested to see where it goes at this point, but it's always that long-term fear of money versus creativeness.
yeah,
At what point
yeah,
are you doing
like
this for the money and not because you feel creative about that thing?
yeah, no, exactly, exactly. I feel like a lot of these don't sound like passion projects. They sound like handshakes
Yep.
in boardrooms.
Absolutely. But that'll do it for Workforce Gaming here. You can subscribe to us on YouTube. Leave us a comment. What are your thoughts about this? Are you excited for these? Are you worried about them? Let us know what you think. We will see you next time.
Bye.